Point one, you think caffeine is giving you energy, but it's really causing stress. To start off, I want to point out that caffeine's breakdown product disrupt the adenosine receptors. I don't know if I said those right, but this is from my own research and what I've read. So basically, caffeine acts as the wrong key that fits inside the door, but it won't actually open it. And with keys like this, you pretty much can't get them off the lock. And this idea is the same with caffeine. This is important because these adenosine receptors send signals to your brain that pretty much tells it to slow down neuron firing. But when caffeine is introduced, it inactivates these receptors, so your neurons keep firing and firing. Uncontrolled neuron firing triggers the pituitary gland in the brain to secrete ACTH. And then this ACTH tells the adrenal glands to pump out a stress hormone. Along with this, caffeine stimulates the production of norepinephrine, and norepinephrine is another stress hormone that acts directly on the brain and the nervous system. This is why you feel that emergency feeling when you're on caffeine. Your heart rate rises along with your blood pressure. It makes minor inconveniences like losing your car keys feel insurmountable, like it feels like it's the end of the world when you know it's not. Along with these other two stress hormones, caffeine elevates your level of cortisol. The scary thing with elevated cortisol is you can't really tell it's raised. You just kind of feel off. Like your immunity sucks, your sleep sucks, and overall you don't feel like yourself. So to sort of sum this science side up, caffeine never really gave you energy. It stimulated your nervous system and stimulated stress hormones. And this is not energy, it's stress. And you may feel energy from it, but caffeine kind of has ironic effects. For one, it fucks with your sleep. Your sleep cycles are extremely important to optimal recovery just from what you do throughout your day and just how the body naturally functions in itself. And caffeine affects these sleep cycles. The effect on these sleep cycles leads to low quality sleep. Point number 2, caffeine destroys your health. You may not realize it, but caffeine really messes with your health, especially over time. So the thing to remember about caffeine is caffeine equals stress. And stress, as you know, can cause a host of problems. I don't want to get too much into detail on these kind of issues on caffeine because I don't really feel qualified to talk about all of the issues stress can cause, blah blah. But I want to give you a little bit of insight. Caffeine tenses up your muscles. When you drink a lot of caffeine, your muscles tense up. Open your jaw as wide as you can, then close it. Did you feel your jaw pop? This is actually a problem I have. It's a problem I have. And this problem may have been caused from caffeine because caffeine tenses your muscles, and over time, constant tension on your jaw can lead to misalignment, which can cause your jaw to pop. Alright, point number 3, you're addicted to a drug. I know caffeine addiction seems okay because everyone and their mother is addicted to caffeine. They all drink coffee in the morning. But even if 2 million people do something wrong, it's still wrong. Caffeine is like any other drug. You get reliant on it. And for most people, if you don't get your fix of caffeine, you start to even feel angry and agitated. You have withdrawal feelings. You feel depressed, anxious, and even angry. With that said, that means you're literally addicted to it. This is the idea that does it for me. The reason is because I imagine my life where every single day I think about my caffeine, and every single day I need my caffeine in the morning in order to get through the day. I imagine living like that until I died, and so I said fuck that. I would never want to be so reliant on something that I feel like I need it in order to function on a day-to-day basis. And as of now, I haven't actually had caffeine in about 2.5 weeks, and I actually believe my body is still getting over caffeine because I don't feel totally better. Like I know that my body's not completely free of the caffeine because it takes a while to actually get rid of the caffeine in your system. But once it is, I'm sure I'm going to feel like super free. The thing about caffeine is that you could be addicted to caffeine without even realizing it. Like, you know that yogurt, like some yogurt has as much caffeine as a cup of coffee. And chocolate has caffeine. Coffee flavored ice cream has caffeine. But they just don't list the caffeine content on like the products themselves. Alright, point number 3. Politics and caffeine. I want to bring up some studies you may have read, and even the political side of how caffeine is, like the whole business aspect. If somebody wants to make a large sum of money, what is the easiest way to do it? It's to create something cheap, addictive, and something that anybody can get on. And that's what caffeine is, and all these companies capitalize off this. All of these companies capitalize on this idea that they can make America feel like they actually need it to function. So they pay journalists and partner up with all these bullshit health organizations to say good things about caffeine and even hide the bad things. And along with that, the people who research and the journalists who write about caffeine, they're the ones addicted to caffeine. So why wouldn't they delusionize themselves in order to make it a little better? And did you know the 2 most profitable companies in the world are PepsiCo and Coca-Cola? And guess what? These companies like quite literally are caffeine producing machines. Like, think about it. Why do you think these companies partner up with schools to get their vending machines in the location? In your school, I guarantee you have a vending machine with Coca-Cola or just really any soft drink. They know that the students there can be lifelong customers if they get them hooked on caffeine right now. Alright, point number 4. caffeine in your mind. The problem with caffeine is that you don't feel more energized, you just feel more alert. But like I explained in the first part of the video, this alertness is stress. It's not energy, it's just stress. Caffeine makes changes in life that are small feel like a huge deal when in reality they're not a big deal. Caffeine messes with your mind in the fact that it quite literally causes your emotions to go on a roller coaster. One moment you feel up and happy, and the next moment you feel down. And this is because of the pendulum effect that is throughout all of life. Caffeine causes you to feel anxiety and irritability. Caffeine fires up the activity level in your brain while lowering the ability to feel calm and relaxed. And the thing that really pisses me off is so many people go to the doctor or physician to get prescribed an antidepressant or some other drug. And these people might even know caffeine is an issue, but of course they want the quick fix. And these people who actually know that caffeine is an issue, they try to delusionize themselves. They think it's all okay because they have some prescription drug prescribed to them by a doctor who knows what he's talking about. Like, no, the doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. First of all, they put a bandage on the problems instead of actually pulling the root out. And what caffeine does in terms of dopamine is actually kind of sad. Your brain gets hit with a huge amount of dopamine once you drink that bang, and then a few hours pass and you feel kind of depressed. You feel like sluggish. That depression from caffeine withdrawal kicks in, so you get another coffee, and it happens over and over again. Literally like a pendulum. Swings all the way to the left where you feel extremely good, but like all pendulums do, it goes right back to the right side to where you feel depressed and dark. And the thing is, life is constant pendulums. All of life is pendulums. Caffeine really just messes with a pendulum that doesn't need to be touched in the first place. So you run to your doctor because your iron levels are low, you feel fatigued all the time, and you can't get enough sleep. Then your doctor tells you you're just depressed. In reality, it's probably your caffeine consumption. Caffeine messes with your body's ability to process nutrients like iron, and the side effects of caffeine is fatigue after it wears off. Caffeine also blocks your receptors that tell your brain to go to sleep. So you end up getting bad sleep. All of this is what the doctor just said, oh, it's depression, but really, it's probably caffeine. And depending on your body composition and weight, caffeine affects different people in different ways. What is common in almost any addict in caffeine is a feeling of irritability, insomnia, dizziness, and anxiety. And this is especially true with super high doses of caffeine. For all my spiritual friends, you can meditate, you can visualize, you can connect with nature all you want. If you have caffeine flowing through your bloodstream, you're going to find it hard to actually feel relaxed because your body quite literally can't. Because all of these stress hormones are going to be going crazy in your body. And I really never used to look at caffeine this way. Part 5, my final thoughts. The two major things that piss me off about caffeine is doctors and the addiction itself. I don't know if you know this, but the medical industry is extremely dark. What I mean by this is, why in the world would they want your best interest in mind? Why would they have your best interest in mind when they could capitalize off you and make money? I don't really blame the doctors for it though, because they've been deceived for like up to 12 years trying to get that doctorate degree. So they probably don't even know any better. But let's take a look at this in terms of caffeine. Most doctors probably don't even know that your problems stem from caffeine. They keep describing these antidepressants, these sleep medications. Even if they did think of it in terms of caffeine, why would they make that your solution? For one, you want the quick fix. And for two, these prescriptions make the medical industry money. It helps them too. In terms of addiction, I just have a hatred for any substance that makes you so addicted to it that you feel like you need it to live. I really just hate anything that makes you addicted to the point where you're delusional. And that's part of the reason why I despise weed, but that's for a completely another video and another topic. Most people that tell you they're addicted to caffeine will tell you that they're not addicted. They tell them that it helps them feel a little better, or it makes them a little bit more energized so that they can perform better. But these are the same people who would go crazy without their morning coffee, their Red Bull, or their Bang. And I used to be this way. I wouldn't be able to work out. I'd be like, what's the point of working out today? Because I wouldn't have my Bang, or I wouldn't have some pre-workout because I feel like my workout's gonna suck. And recently, I've been working out without any caffeine or pre-workout, and that's part of the reason why I feel like caffeine's not yet out of my system. I still felt better when I took pre-workout, I'm not gonna lie, but eventually it's gonna get to a point to where I can produce my own energy because my body doesn't need to rely on something else. I want to mention that I'm not going to completely quit caffeine for good. I just won't let myself rely on it ever again. Maybe once a month I get an energy drink, or if I go out to eat with like some family, I'll get a soda. But other than that, I don't really ever plan to consume caffeine. And I want to end off on the final note that I say all of this that I just said out of love. I want to inform you on topics that nobody else is willing to expose. These topics will help you better yourself, your knowledge, and ultimately evolve.
If you need me, I'ma be here to bust you down. Next time you see me, I'ma be the one under the ground. Sipping that Fiji, no one need to hold me down. I ain't greedy, no, it ain't easy. If you need me, I'ma be here to bust you down. Next time you I'ma be